Scorpio, something ancient is stirring beneath your surface. It moves through you the way a hidden current moves under dark water, subtle yet undeniable, pressing against the edges of who you thought you were. The air around your life looks familiar, the same rooms, the same faces, the same routines, yet inside there is a shift, a tightening, a deep internal turn. Scorpio, you feel it in your chest before you find words for it. This season carries the scent of rebirth, not loud, not dramatic, yet unmistakably powerful. Like embers glowing under ash, waiting for breath, there is a pulse in your spirit that feels older than memory, older than fear, older than the roles you learned to play. Scorpio, this is the kind of awakening that arrives through shadow, through depth, through moments that reshape you from the inside out. You have walked through intensity before. You have tasted betrayal, passion, silence, obsession, devotion, and every extreme in between. Each experience carved something into you. Each rupture opened another chamber within your emotional world. Scorpio, every crisis carried a code, and every ending carried the blueprint of your next becoming. Right now, something within you rises, steady and deliberate. It feels like standing at the edge of an unseen threshold, sensing a door that only you can perceive. The world around you continues at its usual pace, yet your inner landscape rearranges itself, layer by layer, breath by breath. Scorpio, your evolution unfolds through depth, through descent, through surrender to what lives beneath the surface. There are 7 layers to this transformation. 7 shifts that move you from instinct to awareness, from reaction to mastery, from survival to initiation. Each layer peels back a version of you that once felt permanent. Each layer brings you closer to the core that has always been waiting. Scorpio, this journey carries mystery for a reason. Some truths reveal themselves only when you are ready to hold them. Some doors open only after you walk willingly into the dark without demanding a map. And reason 1, the final layer, holds a moment of recognition so precise, so intimate, it feels like hearing your name spoken in a quiet room where only your soul can listen. You were born between October 23 and November 21 under a sky that understands transformation. Scorpio energy moves through cycles of release and return, through endings that seed beginnings. Your power grows in hidden spaces, in places others rarely explore, in conversations with yourself that shape your destiny. If you are a Scorpio born between October 23 and November 21, mark your presence below. Write, Scorpio, 777, I claim my transformation. And as you do, feel the shift settle into your bones, because the first layer begins with the silence you have recently chosen. Scorpio, something subtle has shifted in the way you hold your energy. There was a time when your emotions moved fast, sharp, instinctive, like a current that surged the moment it sensed disturbance. Now there is space between what happens and how you respond. That space feels deliberate, almost sacred. Your silence carries weight. It lingers in a room long after words dissolve, and people feel it even when they cannot name it. Scorpio, you have begun to understand the power of containment, the art of letting your emotions settle into still water before choosing where to move. Reaction once came from intensity. Now, it rises from awareness. You watch more closely. You notice the flicker in someone's eyes before they speak, the pause in their voice, the shift in their posture. Scorpio reads what lives underneath language, the subtle tremor beneath confidence, the hunger beneath charm. Silence becomes your vantage point, a higher ground from which motives reveal themselves. There is a certain control in this quiet. Your energy gathers inward rather than scattering outward, and that inward focus sharpens your perception. Scorpio, you feel the difference in your body, in your breath, in the steady rhythm of your heartbeat. Focus replaces impulse. When you choose silence, you sense how others begin to fill it. They speak more, reveal more, show more of themselves in the empty space you provide. Your stillness acts like a mirror, reflecting intentions back to their source. Scorpio, you hold your center while the world rearranges around you. This strategic silence feels mature, grounded in experience rather than emotion alone. You recognize patterns that once pulled you into unnecessary battles. You see where words would drain your power and where patience amplifies it. Power settles into you as a quiet current that flows inward. Scorpio, this is where emotional mastery begins to take shape. Your presence grows sharper, more contained, more deliberate, and the room responds in subtle ways. And as your silence deepens, something else begins to shift. The need to explain, the urge to clarify, the impulse to justify, all rising toward the surface as the next layer prepares to unfold. Scorpio, there was a time when your words carried the weight of defense. You explained your tone, your distance, your intensity, hoping clarity would build a bridge. Now something within you has settled. Your gaze lingers longer, your breath slows, and you begin to read the room before offering a single syllable. You sense who listens with presence and who listens with agenda. Scorpio feels the texture of attention, the difference between curiosity and intrusion. In that awareness, your explanations soften, then dissolve. Value speaks through energy long before language arrives. There is a quiet confidence forming in you. It feels like standing in your own depth without reaching outward for confirmation. Scorpio, you recognize that those who resonate with your frequency feel it immediately, as if tuning into an invisible current. Those who carry another rhythm drift naturally into the background. You begin choosing where your story flows. Some conversations receive your truth like fertile soil, and others feel like dry ground that absorbs nothing. Your discernment sharpens, steady and calm. Scorpio, this is agency. This is intention shaped by experience. You watch how people respond when you offer fewer explanations. Some lean closer, curious and attentive. Others shift in subtle discomfort, searching for cues that once came easily. Your silence filters the space, and your presence becomes more defined. If this shift feels real to you, type below, 888, I choose depth over noise. Let the words rest there as a quiet affirmation of where you stand. Scorpio, you sense a new alignment forming around you. Energy gathers around those who meet you with respect, with depth, with steadiness. And as your circle refines itself through awareness rather than effort, another movement begins to stir within you. A deeper release, a step that carries the scent of departure, leading toward a ritual you have long prepared for. Scorpio, when you decide to walk away, it carries the feeling of ceremony. The air grows still around you, as if even the room senses a threshold has been crossed. Your steps feel measured, deliberate, guided by something deeper than impulse. Release moves through your body like a slow exhale. This departure holds no chaos. It unfolds with a quiet decisiveness that surprises those who expected intensity. Scorpio, you have already traveled the emotional terrain long before your feet move. Already weighed the memories, already honored the attachment. What remains is clarity, clean and sharp. Walking away becomes a ritual of shedding skin. You feel the old layer loosening, the familiar weight sliding from your shoulders. Scorpio carries depth in every bond, and so this release feels sacred, intimate, almost private. A door closes with a soft sound, and that softness holds immense strength. There is peace in your eyes when you turn, a calm that speaks of alignment rather than reaction. Scorpio, you understand that energy once invested now returns to you, gathering in your chest, restoring your center. Space opens where tension once lived. You sense how the field around you shifts. Connections rearrange themselves, conversations grow distant, certain invitations fade. In that quiet reshaping, your spirit expands, as if the horizon just widened by a few unseen miles. Scorpio, This is elevation through surrender. Each step away feels like stepping towards something unnamed. The past rests behind you with dignity. The future hums with subtle promise. And as you move forward in this steady silence, another layer begins to surface. One that touches how the world sees you and how you choose to stand within that gaze. Scorpio, you have felt the weight of being misread more times than you can count. People glance at your silence and call it distance. They sense your depth and label it intensity. Their words skim the surface, while your inner world moves miles beneath. Over time, you grew familiar with that gap between who you are and how you are perceived. At first, there was an urge to clarify, to soften the edges, to make your emotional landscape easier to navigate. Scorpio carries passion with precision, loyalty with fire, and that combination unsettles those who prefer simplicity. Slowly, something shifted. You began to value authenticity over approval. You noticed how adjusting yourself drained your energy. Each small edit of your truth felt like trimming pieces of your own spirit. Scorpio, you thrive in depth, in complexity, in the quiet intensity that lives under your skin. Living fully in that depth feels grounding, even when it invites misunderstanding. There is strength in allowing the mystery to remain intact. Your layered nature becomes a kind of armor, woven from experience and self-awareness. Scorpio understands that not every gaze earns access to your inner chambers. Misunderstanding forms a natural filter, and those who resonate with your essence step closer without hesitation. You stand taller in your own shadow now. The need to be fully seen by everyone loosens its grip, replaced by a calm certainty that the right eyes will recognize you. Scorpio energy moves like water through stone, shaping itself without losing its core. Self-possession becomes your quiet signature. Some people drift away when they realize your depth requires presence. Others lean in, curious, steady, ready to meet you where you are. Scorpio, you watch this sorting unfold with composed awareness, trusting the intelligence of the process. And as the space around you refines itself, a new shift begins to take form. One where the roles quietly rearrange, and the position you once held starts to transform in silence. Scorpio, there were seasons when people placed you in the background of their expectations. They saw your quiet focus and mistook it for limitation, saw your restraint and called it small. You felt their assumptions settle in the air, subtle and persistent. Instead of resisting, you turned inward. In the dark, you began to build. Scorpio thrives where light feels scarce, where silence stretches long enough for deep work to take root. While others chased recognition, you refined your instincts, sharpened your perception, strengthened your emotional core. Growth unfolded beneath the surface. There is something powerful about evolving unseen. Each private breakthrough, each disciplined choice, each moment of self-mastery accumulated like hidden currency. Scorpio understands the value of timing, the art of moving when the current aligns. Time becomes an ally to those who invest wisely in their own depth. Gradually, the energy in the room begins to shift. The same eyes that once skimmed past you now linger, searching for context. Your presence feels different, denser, more grounded in authority. Scorpio carries a quiet magnetism that draws attention without reaching for it. You sense the reversal before anyone speaks of it. Invitations change tone, conversations carry a new layer of respect, and opportunities appear with a different weight. The ground beneath you feels steadier, shaped by patience and internal discipline. Power hums softly in your chest. Scorpio, this transformation carries pride, though it expresses itself inwardly. You recognize the distance you traveled without applause, the strength cultivated without witness. The darkness that once felt isolating reveals itself as a laboratory for reinvention, a sacred space where your true capacity took form. And as this new position settles around you, another realization approaches. one that touches something even deeper than status or recognition, something tied to identity itself, waiting at the edge of your awareness like the beginning of a final, intimate release. Scorpio. This layer reaches deeper than behavior or reputation. It touches identity, the version of you shaped by survival, by passion, by memories that carved their initials into your heart. You carried that identity with intensity, wore it like armor, protected it like something sacred. Now you feel it loosening, thread by thread. There was a time when control felt like safety, knowing every detail, anticipating every shift, holding emotional power close to your chest created a sense of order. Scorpio thrives in depth, and that depth once wrapped itself around old wounds, old stories, old vows. Slowly, you sense that grip softening. Letting go of the need to control feels raw. It stirs something tender, something vulnerable, something human. Scorpio, you recognize how much of your strength grew from navigating pain, how much of your intensity formed in the heat of betrayal and transformation. That version of you deserves honor. Releasing obsession with the past feels like stepping into clear water after years of swimming in heavy currents. Memories still exist, yet they lose their sharp edge. Scorpio breathes differently now, fuller, steadier. Purification moves through your spirit like a quiet tide. The old identity served its purpose. It protected you, sharpened you, gave you insight into the unseen layers of human nature. Now your soul reaches for expansion, for a lighter structure, for a self defined by choice rather than reaction. This shift carries both ache and relief. There is a symbolic death in this moment, a shedding of emotional skin that once felt permanent. Scorpio understands transformation more intimately than most, and this one feels deeply personal. You release the story of who you had to be in order to survive. As the old layers fall away, space opens within you. The air feels different, thinner and clearer, as if your spirit stands on a quiet summit after a long descent into shadow. And in that open space, something new begins to whisper. A call that feels larger than identity, larger than history, waiting just beyond the threshold of your next breath. Scorpio, there comes a moment when your entire past rearranges itself into meaning. The betrayals, the passions, the long nights of intensity, the seasons of solitude, they begin to feel like preparation rather than random events. A pattern emerges through the fog of memory. Initiation hums quietly beneath your ribs. You sense that every descent into shadow strengthened a hidden muscle within you. Each time you faced emotional extremes, something refined itself in your spirit. Scorpio carries an alchemical current, the ability to transform pain into insight, attachment into wisdom, fire into clarity. This capacity feels intentional now, almost sacred. There is a calling in this stage, subtle yet unmistakable. It does not arrive with noise or spectacle. It arrives as a deep knowing. Scorpio, you feel it in the stillness between breaths, in the way your presence steadies others without effort. Your journey through darkness becomes a lantern for those who stand at the edge of their own. This initiation asks for embodiment rather than performance. It invites you to live your transformation rather than speak about it. Scorpio energy radiates through depth, through honesty, through the courage to sit with intensity and remain grounded. Your life becomes a quiet transmission. You realize that your rebirth holds influence beyond your personal story. Each layer you shed created space for a wider awareness, a more integrated self. Scorpio, your evolution ripples outward, shaping the emotional atmosphere around you in ways few fully articulate. Alchemy lives in your gaze. As this recognition settles, something within you stands taller, calmer, more aligned. The threshold feels real beneath your feet, and your spirit prepares to seal this passage with intention. And from that still, luminous space, a vow begins to form, intimate, powerful, entirely your own. Scorpio, You have walked through layers of silence, through sharpened awareness, through release that felt like shedding skin under a dark moon. Each step carried you inward, deeper into the chambers of your own spirit. What once felt like intensity now feels like alignment. Power rests quietly in your breath. Scorpio, you turned reaction into strategy, explanation into discernment, departure into ritual. You allowed misunderstanding to stand as a gatekeeper, and you let time reveal your true position. In the depth of your own shadow, you found refinement rather than fear. Transformation became personal, intimate, embodied. There was a moment when the old identity loosened its hold. Control softened, memory released its weight, and something clearer stepped forward. Scorpio, that shift opened a door within you, a threshold where survival turned into purpose. You crossed it with steady eyes and a calm heart. Now you stand in a space that feels both ancient and new. Scorpio energy hums through you like a low, steady current beneath the surface of still water. Your loyalty returns to its rightful place, anchored in your own soul. Vow becomes a living frequency rather than a spoken promise. If you feel this initiation in your spirit, seal it in the comments. Write, "Scorpio, I rise from my ashes." Let those words sit there like a quiet mark of passage, a small flame in the dark. And Scorpio, if this reflection moved something within you, you are welcome to stay close to this space. A gentle like, a shared moment, or a subscription becomes a way of walking this path together, slowly, intentionally. There is depth here for those who resonate with it. Like a phoenix resting on warm ashes at dawn, you remain steady, aware, and ready for whatever horizon begins to glow next.